जी आए ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸਾਂਝੀ ਸੋਚ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇੰਦਰਜੀਤ ਕਾਲੀਰਾਏ ਆਪਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਵੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ 'ਚ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਦੋ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੋਕਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਸਿਟੀ ਕਾਉਂਟੀ ਸੁਪਰਵਾਈਜ਼ਰ ਕਾਉਂਸਲ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਔਰ ਐਮਐਲਏ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਉਹ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਔਰ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਵੀ ਹੋਣ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟ ਤੇ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਕਨਵੈਨਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਅਭਿਰਾਮ ਗਰਪਤੀ ਤੇ ਗੁਲਰੇਜ਼ ਖਾਨ ਇਹ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਹੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਕਨਵੈਨਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਅਟੈਂਡੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਆਓ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਔਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸਸ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰੀਏ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਅਭਿਰਾਮ ਐਂਡ ਗੁਲਰੇਜ਼ ਜੀ because of our regional differences from India, and thanks to the British, we're going to use the British language of English to communicate as opposed to our regional languages of Punjabi, Hindi, Bengali, Gujarati, whatever. So, for the convenience granted to us by the British, we'll carry on in English. Welcome to Ajkal America. You both attended the GOP convention a few weeks back. You were delegates, and I'd like to briefly ask you to give your experiences of how it was attending that convention, and if it was the first time you went or the second, third time, what was it like? Abhiramji first.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your show, Inderjit ji. We had an electrifying convention. This is my first time going as a delegate from Texas. The atmosphere was absolutely unique, where we are all united. We elected our candidate for president and our vice presidential candidate. We were all united. There was absolutely, it is a phenomenal experience for me to be part of the American democratic process of electing a presidential candidate. And I have learned a lot from this ever convention that I have been to, and it's a great experience where I met a lot of my party leaders, senators, congressmen, and it was a very good learning experience for me. Gulrez, you go ahead.
Thank you for sharing that, Abhiram. Inderjit ji, thank you again for inviting Abhiram and I to your channel. It's an honor, actually. So yes, this was my first first convention attending as an elected national delegate. I live in Lubbock, Texas, so this is Congressional District 19, West Texas. So out of the three national delegates who were elected earlier this year in our state convention, I was one of the lucky ones. So just like Abhiram said, it was experience of a lifetime. You know, the magnanimity, the energy, the ambience, the atmosphere, it was indeed electric. We had, if you included all the personnel, the delegates, the alternates, the guests, and the elected officials, there were like 50,000 people. I have not seen so much of law enforcement, which included the local and the state law enforcement officials, as well as the United States Secret Service. So many, maybe 10, 15,000 of them in one venue. And at the same time, it was a great experience to vote for our presidential candidate, Donald Trump, vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance, and of course, meeting our state and national legislators. It was a learning experience. You know, this convention illustrated Republican Party's ongoing transformation with a clear emphasis on populism, economic nationalism, and a realignment of our conservative traditional values. So it was an experience of a lifetime.
Well, thank you on that. And just carrying on from your comments, Gulrez, of our conservative values. One of the things that we've heard in the media during President Trump's first term and even during the 2016 election, and following on from that, there's a lot of comments or accusations of racism against Donald Trump. Since you attended the convention, Gulrezji, what was your experience? Did you have any inclination or feeling of racism at the convention or from the Trump clan, as it may be? Did you have any of those feelings, Abhiramji, after Gulrez?
Indulged, thank you for that question. People who say, Republican Party is racist, or they, they throw all these allegations at President Trump. It is all incorrect. It is the most accepting party, as far as my experience goes. I've been part of the Republican Party here in Texas, in West Texas, which is predominantly conservative for the last 8 or 9 years. So I have never felt any discrimination or racism. And even at the convention, that would be the last thing anybody would think of, because I felt like a very optimal blend with the rest of the Republicans. And we were there to support the message of unity, message of our conservative foundational principles of freedom, liberty, opportunity, free market capitalistic structure, limited government, and our supporting the democracy of our great constitutional republic. Other than that, what I usually say in my speeches, discrimination and racism begin when you step outside of America. And people who say Republican Party is racist, I mean, Abhiram and I are prime examples, and we were not the only people of color who were elected as delegates and alternates there. There are a lot of other people who are from South Asian descent, whom we met, and I have never felt this way. And people, again, liberals who say that, they have nothing else to get the Republicans on, so they use this incorrect methodology to target the Republican Party.
Thank you.
Inderjit,
Abhiramji?
I come from the most conservative district in the entire country. I come from the heart of America and from the heart of Texas. I go to my constituents on a daily basis. I've been in the party for the last 10 years, and I go to every single party meeting. I have never faced a single instance of racism ever. And my party, people are loving people, they value people, they treat everybody with respect, with equality. All humans are equal. The other side is the one which is racist. They come up with all these things called Black Lives Matter, and you saw their convention, how they were celebrating joy when the whole country was suffering. And this is our party calling race. They call us racist, as Gulrez said, because they have no other issues to about. They have nothing to talk about in any accomplishments in the last 4 years. Nothing to talk about, and the only way they can bring down our party is by calling us racist, which is absolutely not true. And I can attest to it, coming from the most conservative part of the country.
Thank you, Abhiramji, and thank you, Gulrezji, on that topic. The follow-up I have for you both, and again, we'll start with Gulrez on this one. We just finished with the DNC convention in Chicago. The DNC convention requirement for attendees every day to walk into the convention hall required government-issued ID, and I'm assuming that to be driver's licenses. Did you experience anything similar to that at the GOP convention? I'm sure you needed ID. I'm sure you had your name tags and your name bandanas. However, when we go to in commercial conventions, we always have these things that we wear to identify, make it easier for us. But was there any additional vetting for you to be there, as we've heard that was required in the DNC last week. Sorry, Gulrez.
Mr. Indrajit, yes, we had our, lanyards and we had our tags every day. And just like everybody else, which, the vetting takes place when you're elected and they run your background and everything and making sure everything is good as far as national delegates go when they present us at our national convention, in this case in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Other than that, every day we had our name tags hanging in our we were either carrying them or putting on our necks for people to see. Initially, the moment we entered, there was a screening process for everybody else. They checked our uh, bags and just like we go to an airport, it's just the usual checking, which we really like because that shows the highest escalation of security measures. Uh, but they were all, the law enforcement and even the Secret Service, they were all very friendly, chatting with us and asking about our experience. So there was nothing which would make our uh, life difficult. In fact, it was a very smooth and a very fast-paced process.
Gus, let me add in here.
Thank you,
What he's
Abhiram.
asking is, yeah, what he's asking is about the ID checks. So they don't ask for IDs when people are entering illegally on the border. But the Democratic Convention was a walled convention, and they were asking for IDs for people to enter. And the Republican side, Inderjit ji, you had asking a great question. Nobody checked our IDs, and I'll also tell you the difference between our side and their convention. There are a lot of media people who came to me and said in the last few days, the Republican convention looked like a festival where people were celebrating. There were people who were everywhere. Like we were all over the place. We were going to the bars. The Democratic convention was a walled convention where they were fortified. They had walls all around it. People were not even they're not allowed to go outside the convention, the convention center. So that tells you the difference between the freedom that we aspire to and our party represents, and on the other side, ours. And the most important thing was from the ground up. The delegates decided what was the agenda, what was planned, what was the other side. It was all top down. There was no democracy, there was no election. Their candidate didn't get a single vote from any single American. She was forced on the delegates, and the delegates had no choice. There was no democracy, there was no election. Even North Korea and Russia have an election where Putin only gets like 90% or something of the votes. Here, our Kamala Harris got 100%. It is absolute top down where they're destroyed the democratic values of our country. There was but nobody can talk in their convention. Ours was totally opposite experience that what we had experienced.
And if I can
Thank you,
add
both of
something real
you.
quick,
Definitely.
I can assure you, Indrajit ji, that we did not have any abortion or vasectomy vans at our convention.
Well, that brings us up to our next topic. Um, Basically, we're talking about rights. And for this question, at least, we're all from the same motherland. And I usually call that place Valley of Gods. We have representation of every religion in India, and we do over here too. If you go down through India, you'll see a lot of mandirs, a lot of places of worship which are dedicated to Devis. I don't believe it's a British translation of a goddess, but it's a deity. But we have a temple, we have a mandir for Durga Mata, Lakshmi Mata, and various other deities, Parvati Mata. And we are celebrating this week as the Hindu population Janmashtami. And it's all related to how Krishna was raised and by a mother that was not his birth mother, and all of those things. As a land of multi faiths, as a land of multi religions, one thing I believe, and it was brought to me as a child, when we meet each other, it doesn't matter if it's Gulrezji, it doesn't matter if it's Abhiramji, it doesn't matter if it's me and Inderjit, it's Paiji. Haan, Paji, ki hal hai? And if it's
Right.
not Paiji, it's somebody who looks like our father, it's Chacha ji, Taya ji, Mama ji, Masi ji, Mummy ji. It's never Peter, uncle, or Mary, auntie. We correlate relationships based on if it's a friend of our sister, if it's a friend of our aunt, Pua, Mami, Masi. We give that same title to those associates of theirs. And if it's a friend of our Mamu who came, it's Mamaji. That immediately gives you an attribution to what they are. So if my kids were supposed to meet you in Texas and we were visiting over there, it'd be Gulrez Chacha, it'd be Abhiram Chacha. And when we meet somebody across the street, it's Panji or Auntie Ji, as we've adopted the English terminology, or Uncle Ji. Where I want to go is this concept of Panji, Auntie Ji, Beta Ji. We attribute a certain type of relationship to everybody we meet. That gives us the concept of certain rights. We address another individual female as Benji. They're not necessarily our sister, but we give them that respect. It creates an aura of that relationship, and it creates a level of trust. What I sense when we're talking about women's rights, whereas what I want to go with this is we respect our female relatives, our children, children of our friends, relatives of our friends, as our own aunts, uncles, siblings. And we would defend them if the need arose. But when it comes to women's rights, we have a Supreme Court justice who was nominated a few months back who said, I do not know what a woman is because I'm not a biologist. We have today, the Biden administration tried to change Title IX to bring in this transgender concept into our education system and our sports associated with Title IX funding. In California, we have a governor who just signed a bill about parents' rights. If my child was to go to school and I say, today I feel like my name is not Abhiram, it's Abhikor. How do we deal with that? But the school is not going to tell me because the governor just signed the bill. I have no rights to know about my child. So you attended the convention, and I go back to a common phrase, at least how I was raised by my parents. Sab kudrat ke bande kaun phale kaun mande. We're all God's children. There's good, there's bad amongst us, but we have equal rights. I'm not talking about taking away rights from LGBTQ. They have a right to life just as much as we do. But really, are we going too far on that pendulum of taking the rights away from parents, taking the rights away from our daughters to play sports and be competitive? So I'll open it up, Abhiramji first, and then Gulrezji.
Indrajit, great question. We are going to the extreme end of this nonsense. My concern is a boy and a girl is a girl. Let them live their innocent lives till high school when they're adults. When they're adults, let them make a choice what they want. But this whole culture of infiltrating into our elementary schools and providing tampons to boys in the boys' bathrooms, insanity. This is just plain insanity. And this culture of I was answering a question for a job interview, and the first question is, "Are you a transgender?" I don't understand what is it that they're trying to accomplish by this. Is Bank of America, by the way. And what is it that they're trying to accomplish? It's the woke culture in our country has gone too far to the extreme left, and it's not acceptable. And greatly respect everybody's rights. Everybody has a right to live. Everybody has a right to do whatever they want to do as adults. But California's law is utter nonsense. Parents should have more say in what their kids do or what their kids' future is. Once somebody turns an adult, that's a choice that any adult can make. But keep this all this garbage out of our kids' lives for our country. Gulrez.
Reggie.
Abhiram, very well said, and Inderjit ji, I agree with Abhiram. Great question. See, the focus over here, this shows the intent um, of the liberal left, the cancel culture, the woke ideology. This is the focus here is not the betterment of the society. The focus here of the liberal left on this, when we talk about this topic, is moral degradation. Just like you used an example in the GG earlier that the child goes to school. One day he is Abhiram, and the next day he comes back, he wants to be Abhikar. This is indoctrination of our kids. They are trying to confuse our kids. Even you see TV commercials. When they're in like the elementary level, their focus should be studying English and grammar and mathematics. Having drag shows at that level in schools, they're confusing the kids so that the society. Imagine the society being created uh, uh, following that. Uh, Again, getting biological men to compete in women's sports. This is unfair. Uh, and at the same time, we have gender push on gender mutilation of kids, uh, and our push of the Republican Party to ban sexualization of our kids and youth. I'll share an example. I ran for U.S. House of Representatives, District 32 earlier, Republican primary, and I was invited to speak at Akal Jot Sahib Gurdwara in Garland, Texas. And it was a Sunday, and I was honored to speak about my campaign. This was probably February of this year, and I was allowed to speak in Punjabi. And historically, that congregation was known to be voting for Democrats, but they had, concerns because of inflation and other southern insecure border. And after my speech, a lot of historically Democrat couples, they came to me. They said, "Gulrez, you have opened our eyes. You are so right. We have like young daughters who go to schools in the Dallas area, and one day, the kid comes back and thinking she's a girl, and next day she comes back as thinking she's a boy. So what is going on in our schools? We did not move to the United States. We came here for the American dream, but not at the cost of moral degradation of our family and our society. So we need more conservatives in the office, in the school boards, in the state legislatures, and in the United States Congress. So, to be very honest, I condemn this push of uh, uh, the liberal left, which is sexualizing our kids and youth in this manner. This needs to stop. This is also a epidemic going on. Thank you.
Uh,
And I
in the GG, I sent you
accept your
three
sort of
text messages.
comment. Sorry, Abhiramji. Carry on.
I sent you three text messages. You can use them. One of them is from the Bank of America. That's once you get a job, you are entering the company, and they're asking you a question, gender identity, and the only three options you have is transgender. I do not want to provide this information. Transgender, no. Transgender, yes. I'm totally baffled by this question. Like anybody who is uh, who is a I don't know how much of work culture this has become. And the second text message, another one I sent, We have a school district here called Round Rock ISD, and they just opened a new school, primary school for elementary school, and the boys and the girls' bathrooms don't have doors. Like they're all together now. So the boys can go into the girls' bathroom, girls can go. Totally unacceptable. And this is, I'm not talking about high school, middle school. This is first grade to fourth grade, fifth grade, elementary school. This is what we are fighting at the ground level. We are fighting so hard to get our conservatives elected to the school boards so that we can stop this kind of nonsense happening in our schools.
I totally understand that, and I conceptually, personally, I agree with the positions that you guys, both of you, have echoed. But ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਇਹ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਕਈ
ਜੀ
ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਨਕੰਡੀਸ਼ਨਲੀ ਅਲਾਈਨਡ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, ਔਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਵੀ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕੰਨ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਉਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ. How do we, and Gulrez ji, you can answer the question in Punjabi for me, how do we get our South Asian community to understand this issue, regardless of our social politics, regardless of our social economic policies? What the Democratic Party was 20 years ago in Bill Clinton's day, and to what the Labour Party in England was in the 70s and the 80s, and even in Canada, the Trudeau Party of today is not the party of his father a few decades ago. How do we get our South Asian community at large? Both of you, if you can answer in Hindi and Punjabi, I would appreciate it, to at least accept family values when our daughters are impacted, our sisters are impacted, our mothers and our aunts and our grandmothers are impacted by this behavior or this accommodation.
Let me go first, Inderjit ji. You don't know how many people have sent me this from our community. हमारा South Asian community से लोग मेरा कोई इधर है. How is this acceptable, Abhiram ji? Please do something about it. That is the response I'm getting from our South Asian community members. They have all realized the Democratic Party and their woke culture. They want the South Asian community. They want us to be going into leadership roles and doing something about these issues. So that they're all awakening now. Before they didn't realize how bad the Democrats were. Now they're all seeing it with their own hands, and now they are supporting us. And trust me, Inderjit ji, in this election, in the November election, it's going to be an existential election for America, and a lot of Indians or South Asian people are going to vote Republican this time just for this cause only. Gulrez, go ahead.
Thank you.
Sure. ਇੰਦਰਜੀਤ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਊਂਗਾ. So Abhiram, I hope you understand
Please.
Punjabi, brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Abhiram ਨੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇੰਦਰਜੀਤ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਉਹ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟਿਕ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਫੋਰ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਜੌਨ ਐਫ ਕੈਨੇਡੀ ਦੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਸੀ. ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਈਡੀਓਲੋਜੀ ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਇਹ ਸੋਸ਼ਲਿਜ਼ਮ ਤੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਜ਼ਮ ਵੱਲ ਹੈ. ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਪੇਅਰ ਕਰੂੰਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ 1930s ਦਾ ਨਾਜ਼ੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਸੀ ਹਿਟਲਰ ਦੀ. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਮੋਰਲ ਡਿਗਰੇਡੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਿਆ ਰਹੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਲਈ. ਅੱਛਾ, ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਅਭਿਰਾਮ ਨੇ ਵਰਡ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਅਵੇਕਨਿੰਗ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ. ਉਹ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮੇਨ ਸਟਰੀਮ ਪੋਲੀਟਿਕਸ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੋਲਿਸੀ ਡਿਟੇਲਸ ਉਹ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. ਉਹ ਅਜ਼ਿਊਮ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਮਲਾ ਹੈਰਿਸ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਵੂਮਨ ਆਫ ਕਲਰ, ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਓਬਾਮਾ ਵਾਜ਼ ਅ ਮੈਨ ਆਫ ਕਲਰ. ਉਹ ਅਜ਼ਿਊਮ ਕਰੀ ਬੈਠੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੈ ਇਟਸ ਪੀਪਲ ਆਫ ਕਲਰ. ਨਹੀਂ, ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ. ਡਾਕਟਰ ਬੈਨ ਕਾਰਸਨ ਵੀ ਖੜਾ ਹੋਇਆ, ਮਾਰਕੋ ਰੂਬੀਓ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਲਈ ਖੜਾ ਹੋਇਆ, ਰਾਮਾ ਸਵਾਮੀ ਵੀ ਖੜਾ ਹੋਇਆ, ਨਿੱਕੀ ਹੇਲੀ ਵੀ ਖੜੇ ਹੋਏ. ਬੜੇ ਟੌਪ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨਸ ਰਹੇ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤੇ ਐਸੀ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. ਦੂਸਰਾ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਲਬਕ ਟੈਕਸਸ, ਇਹ ਬਾਈਬਲ ਬੈਲਟ ਹੈ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੀ. ਸਾਡਾ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਮਤਲਬ ਫਰੈਜ਼ਨੋ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਅੱਧਾ ਹੋਣਾ, ਪਰ ਸਾਡੇ 200 ਚਰਚਿਸ ਨੇ ਇੱਥੇ. ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਗੁਲਰੇਜ਼ ਖਾਨ ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 8 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਸੁਪਰਸਟਾਰ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਹੋਇਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਾਣਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਆਈਡੀਓਲੋਜੀ ਸਮਝਦਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਨਾਲ, ਸਾਡੀ ਈਸਟਰਨ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਨਾਲ, ਸਾਡੀ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਬਲੈਂਡ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ, ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੋਰਲ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਮੇਰਾ ਇੱਕ ਗਰੋਇੰਗ ਅਪ ਦਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਰਿਹਾ। ਇਹ ਮੈਂ ਕੋਈ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਇੱਥੇ, ਐਕਸਟੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਆਫ what I actually am culturally। ਸੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਲੈਕਟ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਵੋਟ ਵੀ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਸੁਪਰਸਟਾਰ ਵੀ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ, ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਖੜਾ ਸੀ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਕਾਂਗਰਸ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਸਕਨਸੈਪਸ਼ਨ ਇਹ ਕੱਢਣਾ ਪਏਗਾ। ਦੂਸਰਾ, ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤੇ ਇੰਦਰਜੀਤ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਰਡ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਵੀ ਬਲਾਈਂਡਲੀ, ਯੂ ਆਰ ਵੈਰੀ ਰਾਈਟ, ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੂਲ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਛਲਾਂਗ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਦੇਖੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੋਟ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਪਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਹੈ ਕੌਣ ਲੋਕ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਫੋਲੋ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ। ਫੋਰ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ, ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੈਂਟ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਮਰੀਕਨ ਡ੍ਰੀਮ ਲਈ ਆਉਂਦੇ, ਵਿਚ ਆਲਸੋ ਇਨਕਲੂਡਸ ਬੀਇੰਗ ਸਕਸੈਸਫੁਲ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲੀ, ਬੀਇੰਗ ਐਂਟਰਪ੍ਰੈਨਿਓਰਸ, ਐਂਡ ਆਪਣੀ ਫੈਮਲੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਬੈਕ ਹੋਮ ਵੀ ਟੇਕ ਕੇਅਰ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ। ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਸੋਸ਼ਲਿਜ਼ਮ ਤੋਂ ਤਾਂ ਆਇਆ ਨਹੀਂ। ਠੀਕ, ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵਲੀ ਵੋਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਕੰਪਲੇਨ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਦ ਖਾਣੇ ਪੀਣ ਦੀ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਵੱਧਦੀਆਂ, ਗੈਸ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਵੱਧਦੇ ਨੇ? ਉਹ ਫਿਲਹਾਲ ਤਾਂ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਟ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਵਧੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਟਰੰਪ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੇ, ਟਰੰਪ ਦੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਤਾਂ ਥੱਲੇ ਸੀ ਸਭ ਕੁਛ। ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਬੜੀ ਲੈਕ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਬੜੀ ਇੱਕ ਹਰਡ ਮੈਂਟੈਲਿਟੀ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਨਾ ਅੱਗੇ ਇੱਕ ਦੇ ਆਰ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਫੋਲਡਡ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਪਾਸੇ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਬੜੀ ਅਨਫੋਰਚੂਨੇਟ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਹੈ 1% ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੀ, ਤੇ ਉਹ 6% ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦਾ ਟੈਕਸ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਰਿਚੈਸਟ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੈਂਟ ਪਾਪੂਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ। ਐਟ ਦ ਸੇਮ ਟਾਈਮ ਇਹ ਬੜਾ ਇੱਕ ਐਕਸਟਰੀਮ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਬੜਾ ਅਨਫੋਰਚੂਨੇਟ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲੀ ਉਹ ਇੰਨੇ ਅੰਡਰ ਐਜੂਕੇਟਡ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ, ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਯਾਰ ਮੇਰਾ ਕੋਈ ਪੋਲੀਟਿਕਸ ਨਾਲ ਲੈਣਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ। ਵੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਫਿਰ ਕੰਪਲੇਨ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ। ਕੋਈ ਇਲੀਗਲ ਆ ਕੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਦਰਨ ਬਾਰਡਰ ਤੋਂ ਆ ਕੇ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਚਲਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜਾਂ ਗੈਸ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਹਾਈ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ, ਜਾਂ ਮੋਰਲ ਡਿਗਰੇਡੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜੇ ਸਕੂਲਸ 'ਚ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਫਿਰ ਕੰਪਲੇਨ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ। ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਨ ਸਟ੍ਰੀਮ ਪੋਲੀਟਿਕਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਓ। ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਆਫਿਸ ਰਨ ਕਰੋ, ਬਟ ਐਟਲੀਸਟ be in the mainstream and know what the policies are। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕੰਪੇਅਰ ਕਰੋ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਲਚਰਲੀ ਕੀ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਈਡੀਓਲੋਜੀ ਕਲਚਰਲੀ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮੈਚ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਟ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਰੰਟ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਟ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ again I'll go back to their lack of involvement, them being undereducated, and hopefully ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਭਿਰਾਮ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ they are awakening, looks like things are getting better in his district। ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਈਸਟ ਕੋਸਟ ਵੈਸਟ ਕੋਸਟ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਣਾਉਣ। ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ you'll be surprised ਕਿ 2020 ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਕਈ ਈਸਟ ਕੋਸਟ ਤੇ ਵੈਸਟ ਕੋਸਟ ਦੇ ਫਰੈਂਡਸ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਫੇਸਬੁੱਕ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਅਨਫਰੈਂਡ ਕਰਤਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ I was supporting Trump and Republican Party। So it's lack of initiative and lack of education।
Both of you are business owners. You're engaged in business. As business owners, where do you see the economy going, and what changes would you expect for the economy to get the engines running? And in California, in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, we've had announcements of 134,000 layoffs. It's a number that's been reported in the media. The actual number may be different, up or down, but 134 for the Silicon Valley Bay Area is a significant loss to the Bay Area economy. We have office spaces that have been reportedly empty. I'm not going to ask you what you guys in Texas are doing to steal businesses from California, because quite a few of the businesses like Elon Musk's Twitter and Tesla, they're leaving for Texas. But as a national economic drive, gas prices, economy, inflation, what would you expect from the next administration? We have Kamala Harris saying, on my first day, I'm doing this. and Trump is saying, when I get back into office, I'm doing this. Put aside the political rhetoric, put aside whichever administration comes in. As business owners, what would you like to be done to help you in your business? Gulrez ji first.
Sure. Thank you for that. That's a very vital question, Tajiji. So thank you so much. Uh, we have a healthcare business here in West Texas called American Star Home Health and Hospice Care. We already went through, once in 100 years pandemic, and as a business owner, we suffered quite a bit. And when Biden-Harris administration came, they did not make it any better. We had 2021, 22, we had a 40-year high inflation. So I was watching Kamala Harris, and then she has proposed in this economy. And first of all, she continues to say day one, this is her fourth year. She has not done anything about our economy. It is the Biden-Harris administration who got us into a record inflation, high unemployment. So from the last 16 years, Democrats have held administration for 12 years, and the four of them, when our economy was strongest, was under Republicans and Donald Trump. So anyhow, so the proposal of Kamala Harris, and I have these statistics. So currently our corporate gains tax rate is 21%. She wants to enhance it to 28%. Our capital gains tax rate right now is 20%. She wants to take it to 44.6%. And lastly, unrealized gains tax, currently it's 0%, and she wants to take it to 25%. So my question to this administration is, and this is her solution to fix the economy, really? Okay, if I'm looking for a job, am I going to go to a homeless person or somebody who has money, who can pump money in the economy, create a business and generate jobs? Obviously, I'm going to go to somebody who's an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurship thrives when you give them tax incentives, then when you give them tax breaks. When you lower the tax brackets for entrepreneurs, that's what encourages them to build enterprises, which solves our inflation problems, economic problems, and joblessness problems. So by saying this, that Trump just cares about his rich friends. Well, obviously, we have to take care of people who have the potential to pump money in the economy. So the current administration under Biden-Harris has totally failed, and her proposals of enhancing taxes, and it is going to impact us as well. And these taxes have impacted us heavily. So what will a business owner do, which is very unfortunate, is they will lay off people. If the government is not making the business atmosphere conducive to invest more and to create more ventures, and which in the process creates more jobs, obviously they're going to lay off people. So that will affect, if this administration stays on, God forbid they come again in November election, after November election, it will be a economic and a financial disaster for our whole nation.
Thank you, Gulrez ji. Abhiram?
Inderjit ji, we won the most medals in the Olympics. Why do you think America won the most medals? Because we sent the best candidates to go and run the races. We have the most incompetent government in the history of our nation today. There is absolutely zero accountability. The Secret Service fails to protect President Trump. Nobody is fired. The Federal Reserve, there are 20,000 people working in the Federal Reserve today. Their only job is to control inflation. Not a single guy is fired. They could not even control inflation. And there is no policy. The total policy failures of the Kamala Harris administration. When she talks nonsense. She has no clue how the economy works. She does not even have the knowledge of a third grader on how the economy works. I'll give you an example. She just came out a couple of days back. She had an unscripted press interview, and she says she's going to give $25,000 to first-time home buyers. Who who is going to where is she going to get that from? Pay for it? No answers. She comes out and says, I will go and build 3 million homes. Is she in the home building business? How does she go and build 3 million homes? They in the recently enacted Inflation Act, they allocated $8 billion in budget for EV charge to build EV chargers, and in the last 3 years they were able to build 7 chargers in total, charging stations. I mean, 7 charging stations. That is how our inefficient government works. This is a choice we have in November between prosperity and poverty, socialism and capitalism, America and Venezuela. If Kamala Harris comes, God forbid, it's going to be a Venezuela. These guys have no clue how the economy works. Nobody is accountable in this country anymore. Biden was thrown out of the Democratic Convention and he's going and vacationing in California right now. Kamala Harris is going around the country campaigning. And there's a war going on in the Middle East, and today Israel and Lebanon are fighting, and nobody is in control. Like, I don't know who is in our government anymore. Where is the government? How are they functioning? There is absolutely no entity of government that's working today. We have the highest inflation today in the last 3 years in this administration, and that has impacted every single American family and American farm for gas and fertilizers and food, and we are all suffering because of this. And Kamala Harris says that when I come to power day one, I'm going to do this, this, this. Her day one started 1300 days back, not after 4 months. Americans are already suffering today. If you can do something, do it now, not 4 months from now or 6 months from now. The other thing is, how many, particularly related to South Asians and Indians in general, we had lost a lot of jobs, IT jobs. I myself included. I lost two of my jobs. There is an absolute disaster that's happening right now. The big companies are not hiring. If you post a job, if you go to LinkedIn to search for a job, within an hour of somebody posting for a job, there are 1,000 job applicants. This is not the America that I grew up in. This is not the America that I know. This is India. In India, I used to see this 1,000 people applying for a job in an hour. Not in America. America used to be the land of prosperity until 4 years back. This Kamala Harris Biden completely destroyed our country, took our jobs and completely is responsible for the mess we are in. The choice we have between prosperity and poverty, and I request everybody watching this interview to please give our team, our Republicans, a chance based on our track record of how your life was under President Trump and how your life has changed under the current administration. Thank you.
Thank you, G.
Can I add
And
something to it? Real quick.
sure,
Real quick. Okay, so
definitely.
Abhiram, very well said. Very well said. Just wanted to add some data. This is from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So this is presidential inflation rate. Okay, under Joe Biden, the overall presidential inflation rate is 15%. So food has gone up 18%, energy 37.2%, rent is up 13.5%. Under Trump, it was overall was 4.1%, food was up just 3.6%, energy prices just 1.6%, and rent was around 7%. So it's triple under Joe Biden. So adding that substantiates what Abhiram just said.
Well, thank you on
Thank you.
that. And the next topic I want to address is all three of us, me, the both of you, have a history of being immigrants to this country. Whether we came as children and our parents brought us here, or we came ourselves. If we came ourselves, we probably came and as technologists, as scientists, engineers, doctors, we had a contributory element in our skill set to come to America and pursue our dreams, happiness, and liberty. I don't believe anybody should not have that right. Everybody should have a right to pursue their dreams, liberty, and justice. But I'm going to say that we came through the front door. When we applied to come here, we filled out our applications. We went through the health tests. We went through the criminal history test and everything. We landed in Dallas or Houston or San Francisco or New York, basically the various front doors of coming into this country. We have front doors at the border. We have border checkpoints. But one of the biggest issues that's coming out there is how people are crossing from the border. It happens in the north, but many times you would have to ask the question, why does anybody want to cross the border into America from Canada? Because both countries are economically, socially, politically equivalent, if we can say that. Mexico, the Southern American hemisphere, okay, we can expect that people would want to come here for economic reasons. We can accept that they may want to come for political refugee status purposes. But when you come through the door and you say, I'm a refugee, there's a process. If you come through the door, the front door, and you're coming to visit, there's a process. But what we've encountered during the last few years, the numbers are atrocious. It may be, my numbers may be 3 million, your numbers will be 6 million. Some people are talking 20 million. Regardless, when we came here, we went through the vetting system. These people are not vetted. Ironically, we were all mandated to go through and get COVID vaccinations. If we wanted to travel within the US or outside of the US using the doors of exit and entry, we had to have vaccination proof. There was no vaccination proofs required of those people. There are no vaccinations submitted to those people. Not being anti-human, sort of humanity as a feature, we all have it. We want to be charitable. We want to be humanitarians. We want to help other people. But how do we answer this concept of illegal and legal? But more so, there are rights in this country that don't exist in south of the border. Welfare, social security, education system, healthcare. I believe you guys as business owners, me as an employee, we've all paid for those facilities, whether it's be through our paychecks, whether it be our social security payments, whether it be our federal taxes. When somebody's coming in and not contributing to the system and they're still getting the benefits of it, and like I believe Abhiramji said, the 25,000 first-time home buyer in California, that 25,000 home buyer assistance, zero down assistance, is now being offered to undocumented residents. You guys are business owners. You guys are paid into the taxes. How do you foresee, what answers do you have to fix what Kamala Harris is saying she's going to fix on day one, what Trump tried to fix with the border wall, and he's saying he will finish or fix? But how do we address this inequity in the land of immigrants that was built primarily by immigrants, but how we address this inequity right now of illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, as they may be called, or the legal immigrants who came over time with families, yourselves, me, or I believe literally the three of us are first or second generation immigrants.
Inderjit ji, let me go first on this. First of all, all three of us are immigrants here legally. And our party stands, the Republican Party is saying, we love legal immigrants. We don't want people coming here illegally. That's what we are fighting against. And there's a point to that. We want people coming into this country and integrating with the country through jobs, through the infrastructure and everything. And that only happens when we vet the people coming in, when we have a proper flow of immigrants coming in the right way. When illegal immigration happens, like what's happening in the last 3 years, they don't assimilate into the country. Like, look what is happening in Europe. There are the Paris and a lot of ghettos out there. The immigrants don't assimilate with the local people. They're not in the jobs. It's going to be a mess. So all we are saying is, please come here legally. Don't come here illegally. This is a land of opportunity. We love immigrants. We welcome every immigrant here, but we don't want people in the law. America runs on rule of law. If there is no rule of law, there is no America. That is the fundamental thing we need to understand about this country. And when people come here illegally, they are breaking the number one thing that America is known for, which is the rule of law. So we are going to. President Trump has promised to come when we take over power in January. We form the administration. We are going to close the border. We are going to build a wall. We are going to make sure that illegal immigrants don't come here illegally, and make sure that the process is much easier for immigrants to apply for a green card. He promised he will give a green card once somebody has a master's, and we want to fasten that process to citizenship immigrants. Gulrez.
Very well said, Abhiram. And Inderjit, you're right. We are legal immigrants to this great land. I believe, and I'm sure you'll vouch to it, the greatest blessing for anybody is either have to be born in the United States or get an opportunity to call themselves Americans when they come in the legal manner. This is indeed, land of opportunity, land of limitlessness. Anything is possible if you are a patriotic American, if you're hardworking, if you abide by the law. Sky's the limit. And these native-born Americans, they're remarkable people, most tolerant and most accepting. They soon enough they make you a fabric of uh, 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 something called the United States of America. So there's nothing like America. I agree. We no longer need to secure our border. We need to seal our border. We need to. This is imminent right now. So Abhiram and I, we bear the maximum brunt of this unsafe border, southern border we have right now. We are in the border state, and we have 20 between 24 27,000 Chinese able-bodied men illegally entered our country through the southern border. That raises a lot of suspicion. Okay, we have record amount of fentanyl to the tunes of billions of dollars being smuggled through our southern border. And by the way, it does not just it travels throughout the country. In fact, here in Lubbock, Texas, West Texas, we came to know from our law enforcement, it has entered here as well. And there have been little kids are fed fentanyl in these little chewy gummies, and I forgot what the intensity was, but it's like X number of times more potent than cocaine or morphine. So it's a deadly agent. Okay. Thirdly, not only and yes, we are a humanitarian nation. We are people of God, and we care for our fellow human beings, but not at the cost of our safety. Okay. Thousands of antisocial elements, terrorists are entering our country from Latin America. They are freeing prisoners from their prisons and sending them to United States through the southern border illegally. So I'm sure none of us, or even the Democrat legislators, will not want to live in a house where there's no back door, so anybody can enter their house. So this is a very dangerous situation. Our safety is at risk. Our current generation and our little ones, or future generation, they're both at risk as well. We are not setting a very good precedent by opening our borders. And Kamala Harris was in charge for last almost 4 years, and she did nothing. And it's really and Secretary Mayorkas, he did not do a very good job either. So we need something concrete. We need to have President Trump, who is a bold leader enough to step up and make those decisions, uh, and build and continue and finish building the wall. It should not be even a point of discussion amongst on the Democrat agenda, because they have failed. So right now, what we need to do is, as soon as possible, we seal our border and not let anybody in illegally.
I quite follow that, and I think it answers my question at least, from the concept of being immigrants ourselves. And one of the things that I've seen is other immigrants who come here legally, they've vested in here, they've built businesses like you guys have. When they see other people coming over and taking benefit, or even cutting, as it's maybe called, cutting line. I know a family who did a family sponsorship. It took this family, extended family, 18 years to go through the channel to legally come to this country because it was a family sponsorship. If you can put in the energy and the time and the effort to become an American resident, green card holder, and you're going to wait nearly 2 decades, I feel it's a slap in your face when somebody can just walk over and get in front of you in front of the line. And the extra facilities and the benefits that are being offered to these people is beyond recognizable or acceptable, because the three of us did not get the same benefits. Had we come here and filed unemployment, we wouldn't have qualified because we'd never put into the system. We didn't even have a job. Before we qualify for unemployment, we have to have an employment history. And yet these people are coming in, getting welfare, they're getting substance, and they're getting a whole bunch of other things. Those are some of the issues that raise questions, not necessarily because Americans or legal immigrants are against charitable work for other people. They're against cutting the line. They're against people getting in front of them. If you go to shop groceries at Safeway, or you go to Best Buy and you're standing in line at the register and somebody cuts in, you normally ask why. If you don't give them a piece of your mind, you want to know, hey, why do you need to get in front of me? So those questions aside, but in the interest of general time, moving forward in services, one of the issues we have in California, and I have a feeling that you have it in Texas, homelessness. Some of the issues that our homeless are feeling, some of these homeless people are veterans. Services to our homeless, American resident homeless, citizens, residents, veterans, and our seniors. Many people are questioning the priorities that should be offered to our veterans, our seniors, and our own American homeless before immigrants. Where do both of you stand on that briefly, Gulrezji?
Sure. Indulged, as a true American, we value the service our military and veterans have given us. It's a greater sacrifice. So I strongly support our United States military and advocate for providing comprehensive care and benefits to our veterans. This includes ensuring that our veterans have access to high quality healthcare, education, job training, and other services they need to transition back into civilian life. Similarly, for seniors, we need to continue to advocate for reforms to ensure the long-term sustainability. Raising the retirement age, maybe adjusting benefits for higher income earners, or allowing even younger workers to invest a portion of their Social Security taxes in private accounts. And when it comes to homelessness, I'd emphasize the importance of local and community-based solutions to address homelessness. Nonprofit organizations, faith based groups, and local governments are best equipped to provide targeted assistance to the homeless population. So, my approach to the veterans, the seniors, the homeless population as a conservative Republican is grounded in the belief, which says a personal responsibility, limited government intervention, and the importance of private sector and community-based solutions will work best for them. And I'll finish by saying, for veterans, we can improve the quality and accessibility of care, supporting mental health initiatives, and seniors would be the focus on preserving Social Security and Medicare, while implementing reforms to ensure long-term sustainability and reducing healthcare costs. Homelessness, again, prioritize economic growth, job creation, and local solutions that tackle the root cause of homelessness.
Thank you. Abhiramji?
Inderjit ji, I sent you a link to my website. I have an experience meeting a 77-year-old homeless person on my campaign, and zero government intervention. Private people, we built a home for this person, and he's living in that home today. And I plan to build 100 more of these homes for these homeless people without any government intervention. This is a simple problem that can be solved. We don't need billions of dollars that the government is wasting today. This problem can be solved with, as Gulrez ji said, with private sector and with charitable organizations. We can fix the homeless problem in America. All our vets, our old seniors. If we can prioritize that as a important item for our community as a community service, I think that problem can be solved, and we don't need the government to get involved in this in any way.
Well, thank you, guys. There's a lot of topics we could talk about, and we could extend this quite a bit. But I personally wanted to have a discussion with both of you as delegates from the GOP convention. I'm hoping that I can get your counterparts from the DNC convention and give it an equal sort of airtime. But thank you for your time. Thank you for giving this
Before we close,
1 hour of your time. Sorry. Carry on, Abhiramji.
Before we close, I have one message for your viewers.
Okay.
Please consider our track record under President Trump, and please give us a chance. We cannot afford to lose this election. The other side is saying joy. Joy for what? For killing 40,000 people in the Middle East? Joy for incompetence? Joy for killing the small businesses? Joy for what are they celebrating? What is joy for? Joy doesn't put food on my table. Joy doesn't give me a job. Joy doesn't fill my gas tank. Kamala Harris is all joy. So please, to your viewers, give us a chance based on our record, and please vote for President Trump in November. And that's my sincere appeal to all of your viewers. Thank you all.
Thank you, Abhiramji. Just trying to bring this to a conclusion as for the time limits we have. I appreciate both of your time and look forward to discussing again, our sharing our views and discussing whatever we may expect come January. And for that, we'll wait for the November election outcome. And again, thank you very much for both of you. And one day we'll meet in person. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸਾਂਝੀ ਸੋਚ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਸੀ ਗੁਲਰੇਜ਼ ਖਾਨ ਔਰ ਅਭਿਰਾਮ ਗਰਪਤੀ ਟੈਕਸਸ ਤੋਂ ਡੈਲੀਗੇਟ ਹੈਗੇ ਸੀ ਜੀਓਪੀ ਕਨਵੈਨਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਖਿਆਲਾਤ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੁਣੇ ਨੇ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਗਲੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸਾਂਝੀ ਸੋਚ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ ਦੇਵੋ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਜੀ